How to identify with a race when you are Puerto Rican. Obviously, Puerto Rican is not a race, it's an ethnicity, because being Puerto Rican means that you are Caucasian, you have indigenous, and you also have African. That is what it means to be Puerto Rico. So the people that have immigrated to Puerto Rico are the Spanish, the Portuguese, there's Jewish, there's African, there is also Irish and Corsican. With the Corsican you also have French and Italian. And one of the biggest immigrations that came to the island of Puerto Rico are the Canarians from Spain. The Canarians from Spain already had the North African admixture. So you are going to see that a lot of Puerto Ricans have that North African percentage whenever they take the DNA test. Most Puerto Ricans come out with North African, and Puerto Ricans are basically their own race because of 500 years of history, 500 years of mixing going on, and mixing and mixing. All of this mixing created its own race. So being Puerto Rican is an ethnicity, and 500 years of mixing created. People around the world proclaim that the Puerto Rican mix is the example of what would it be a perfect human being. What would be my story, and how would my story help my claims? Because I basically have two things going on for me. That when I was a child, I knew that I came from a family that they mostly looked Caucasian, Caucasian, and I basically looked different. Instead of looking Caucasian, I had like tan skin and some, what I would say, indigenous features, and I was really curious onto what I really was. And a few members of my family pulled me apart and basically told me that the way I looked is because I was a little bit indiecito, which it means that if you're Caucasian and you're from the island of Puerto Rico, it means that you're basically a Caucasian with Native American features. It doesn't mean that you are Native American, because being indiecito could practically make you look like if you were like from the Middle East. It could make you look Hindu, but it doesn't even matter, because I've seen Native American people that have that Hindu look, and they look Hindu but they're not even Hindu, they are Native American. There are many Native American builds that I've seen throughout the whole America, throughout the whole New World. They can look Asian, they can look Hindu, but they are still Native American. So from people telling me, from my friends telling me, they have told me that I have looked indiecito. And my question was, why did I look indiecito? Did I look indiecito because I had a white mix with African, or did I have a white mix with indigenous? And that was my main question. But then later on I discovered that I had a family that they were practically Caucasian people that mixed with Native American people from Puerto Rico, who are called the TAINO, that are the Native American indigenous population from the Caribe, more specifically from the island of Puerto Rico, which its native name is Boriquen or Borinquen. So how do I explain and confirm the way I look? What I discovered was that I actually was an indiecito. Upon investigating, I became to understand that I was actually a mestizo. A mestizo is the mix between a Caucasian person and a Native American. But there was a problem. I knew deep inside, within all the history that I knew, that my family wasn't fully mestizo. I knew that we were mostly Caucasian in essence. So I kept investigating and I kept pondering onto why was my family so Caucasian, yet I still kept on with the indiecito look. Why was I still looking like a mestizo? I actually look mestizo, half Native American, half Caucasian. So I kept investigating and I kept making my own researching and studying onto why was I coming from a Caucasian family but looking like a Taino that is mestizo, not completely Taino. It's like a Puerto Rican with slight Native American features. And I have a lot of family members that are just like me. They come from a family who are Caucasian, but in fact, the daughter or the son will come out looking like a indiecito, will come out looking like if the ending result was of mestizaje, a mestizo. So after this, I was given the opportunity to take a DNA test, which it helped me a lot identifying with what race exactly was I. So upon investigating, I learned that my DNA test told me that my two highest percentages were 37% for Spain and 15% for Taino. And those were my two highest percentages. This alone didn't answer my question. Why did I come from a family that was so Caucasian but still looked like if I was a mestizo? If I only had 15% indigenous? And then I started learning, and then I learned about reading my own DNA results, and I got to the conclusion that I have 4 DNA results from 4 nations that are my 4 nations, like Spain and Taino, are my most solid percentages. The first one was Spain, the second was Taino, the third one was 14% for Portugal and 9% for Ireland. And those were my 4 highest percentages. And now you may ask, why would I review with you guys these 4 highest percentages that I have and not review all of them, including the African and all the other ethnicities that my DNA test said that I come from? Because first of all, these are my highest percentages. If you have the highest percentages in your DNA test, it is obvious that you will have traits and features and characteristics from these highest percentages more than your lower percentages. If I have 37% Spain and 14% Portugal, then that means that I'm going to look like somehow like people that are from Spain and that are from Portugal because of how high these percentages are. And that is my point. Now let's talk about my ranges. Let's talk about the ranges now. How did I find out that I was mestizo? Not only because people have told me, not only because of my family's history, which we have history of our family mixing with indigenous people that are pure breeds here in the island of Puerto Rico. We dive into what the ranges are. And understanding the ranges will give me a further understanding of why do I look the way I look. Why do I look mestizo? If I am so Caucasian, why do I look mestizo? Now, contemplating the ranges, I discovered that Spanish and Taino are my two highest, most solid percentages. Why do I say this? Because when I analyze my Spanish percentage, it goes down, but it only goes down to 31% Spanish. That means that even if it goes down, it still goes down to a solid 31. So there was somebody in my family, or most of my family, that were mostly Spanish. And then I analyzed my indigenous percentage, which Taino is not the only one. I also have 2 percentages more that make me 17% indigenous. But my highest indigenous percentage was the Taino. Now when I analyze the actual Taino percentage, it says that I am 30% to 22% Taino. What does this mean for me? That even though it goes down to 13%, it still remains a solid 13 to 22. It still keeps a solid number from 13 to 22. And then I kept analyzing, wait, but then how do my other more solid percentages compare to these two that keep a high percentage, 2 digits on each one? Well, if I check my Portuguese one, it does say that it can go up to 36%. Sure. And that's all very cool. But when you check how low does it go in range, it actually goes down in range to 5%. So if I was 70% Caucasian overall, that means that now I am 65% Caucasian overall, because of how low this one goes, not counting how low the 31% will take away from the 7%. I'm not counting that one. And then I analyze what happens with my Irish percentage. So what is the range between my Irish percentage? That it says that I'm 9%. Okay, it says that I'm 9%, but then it goes down to 0%. Wow. So that means that if it goes down to 0%, it doesn't keep a solid number like what happens with Spanish and what happens with the indigenous. It goes down to 0. This one goes down. This one goes down. But these ones keep go up or keep a really solid number, like Spanish and Taino. So what am I understanding from these ranges? This means that solidly within my family's genes and my family's blood, we are mostly Spanish and mostly indigenous. Because if I take away the 9% from the Irish that this test is saying that is reading from me, then I am 56% Caucasian and not 70% Caucasian. And this same thing that is going on between Portuguese and Irish happens with other Caucasian percentages that are expressed within my DNA test. And basically this is how I understand, this is how I know why do I look like a mestizo. Even though I am only 24% indigenous, I still keep on the phenotypical information within my blood because of how solid the TAINO is in my DNA test. It's not like this one. It goes from 9 to 0%. TAINO goes from 13 to 22%, and all the other percentages that I have are like 8 other nations, and they just go from 7 to 1. So those are what they call admixtures, and they don't really express like Spanish and Taino in my blood. Those admixtures don't really express themselves 7% to 1%, like the 22 or 24% indigenous and 31 to 37% solid percentages from Spain. If you learn how to understand your ranges in your percentages, you can actually discover why is your phenotypical information the way it is. Why physically you look like you look physically. If this 22% or 15 or 13% was below my Spanish, most probably would look like a mulatto. But it's the other way around, and this might help a lot of people understand. Go to your DNA test online, not through an app, where the information may be more detailed, and check the ranges and check where do they range, and verify with the DNA test and the ranges why is your phenotypical information the way it is. For instance, your physique, why do you look the way you look, and this might express it. And I'm just gonna keep on analyzing and giving you an idea, because this is the genotype. These percentages are my genotype. Your 2 highest or 3 genotypical information might explain why is your phenotype the way it is. So what if you take your DNA test and you are Mongoloid, Negroid, and Caucasoid at the same time? And what if physically, phenotypically, you are also Mongoloid, Caucasoid, and Negroid at the same time? What race may you pick? Obviously, I've already stated that the Puerto Rican race is one full race. You can obviously pick that you are a Boricua, and we are a full race. We might be an equal mix of Mongoloid, more Caucasoid, and then Negroid. But when it comes to identifying what race you may be, some people express more Caucasoid. Probably 70% of the island of Puerto Rico and its inhabitants express more of a Caucasoid phenotypical information. I'm not telling people how to identify, but I hope that the way that I'm identifying myself helps people, because if I were to look like a mulatto, then off the bat I'm going to know that I am half Caucasoid and half Negroid. Even though I do have Negroid in my DNA, that doesn't mean that I'm gonna express Negroid. What my DNA is actually expressing, like I previously stated, is that I have a semi-Mongoloid and Caucasoid look, and that would be me and the rest of my family. If you want to identify, you can, like I said, you can say that you are Boricua, and that might compensate for all 3 main belts: Mongoloid, Caucasoid, and Negroid. Or you can just express what you feel that you most look like and be honest with yourself. Like I'm trying to be the most honest possible with the way that I look. And throughout my whole analysis, I discovered that my family, even though we have Negroid, Caucasoid, and Mongoloid, we express Mongoloid build and the Caucasoid build most likely, genotypically, evidently, and evidently also phenotypically, which is physically. Now I want you to accept the way you are, because there is people that want to identify with one race, but in the end we are all one human race. We're all equal, we're all different. Just accept the way you are. At the same time, you can be your smallest percentages from your DNA test. If it says that you are 1% of something and you strongly identify with that 1%, then you can freely pick what you are. If you want to pick that you are that 1%, then you are freely to accommodate yourself to that 1%. If that 1% is, I don't know, German, you're 1% German, then okay, you're not lying. The test is saying that you are 1% German, and there may be other reasons why you wouldn't pick your highest percentages. Maybe you have a bias. Maybe you have information of what that group of people did in the past and you don't want to feel like you're part of them. That's totally understandable. Like, even though I have so much Caucasoid within my blood and I am actually represented as looking like a half Mongoloid, half Caucasoid, I would still like to honor the Mongoloid build because of what happened. The Spanish conquered the Tainos, and there were a lot of things that happened that weren't fair for the indigenous population. So I would like to highly honor the Taino population. I'm not saying that I'm not happy with the Spanish. They are my brother. It's very important to forgive for things that happened in the past, and after you forgive, then you will feel true freedom. Now, love who you are, accept the way you look, analyze your DNA test, because science is seeking for the truth. And I hope I helped people who are trying to identify with their own race when they are Puerto Rican. I'll see you later. May God bless you all.